Hello everyone, very good evening. My name is Arun Kumar and today I am again in front of you to discuss another very important topic for Azure 900 certification, and that is related to the costing, that is costing part, that is costing part of Azure resources. Like if you are going to use any Azure service like Azure Databricks or Azure Storage Account or Azure SQL database, then how can you calculate the estimate that if I will use this service for 1 month or 1 year, then what will be my costing? Okay. So in this video, I'm going to discuss around that. So for calculating the costing of according to the uses of a particular service in Azure, okay, we have something called Azure uh, Pricing Calculator. Okay, and as you all know that Azure is based on pay-as-you-go model. That is, you will be charged based on how what amount of Azure resources you are using. So for that we have something called Azure Pricing Calculator. Let me just do a quick. Let me just open that pricing calculator in front of you, Azure Pricing Calculator, and let me show you how. So this is that pricing calculator. Let me show you like how the pricings are calculated for different resources. As you all know, I have already shown in my previous videos that there are many kind of services in Azure like Azure Databricks, Azure Web App, Azure Storage Account, Azure Data Factory, Azure Logic App, Event Grid. There are many kind of services that are available, and based on the uses, you will be charged for that particular service. So this is the Azure pricing calculator that I just opened, and for here let me give you an overview of this page, like what all things are present here in this page. So here in this page, as you can see, we have many things. In the left hand side we have something called compute. In compute, the compute services are there like virtual machine skill sets, Azure Kubernetes, Azure Functions, Azure Service Fabric, App Service, Cloud Services, Batch, Azure Container Instances. Many compute services are there. Now there is something called networking. In this, services related to networking are there. Virtual network, Azure Virtual Network Manager, load managing, Azure DNS, VPN gateway, application gateway. So there are many kind of Azure services that are related to networking. Now we have something called storage. In storage, we have storage services like storage account, data box, Azure Data Share, Azure Files. So these are some of the storage accounts. Similarly, like many groups of services are there. Like if I go to database, in databases we have something called Azure Cosmos DB, Azure SQL Database, Azure Database for MySQL, Azure Database for MariaDB, Azure Database for PostgreSQL, Azure Synapse Analytics. So these are many database services in Azure. Okay. Similarly, I mean, it contains many services. Like when I go to DevOps, then we have something called Azure DevOps, which we use for the deployment purpose. So there are many services that has been bifurcated in major sections here. Okay. So suppose that I have I want to provision a storage Azure storage account, and I want to calculate that how much I'll be charged for using Azure storage account. So how will I be charged? Okay. Will I be only charged for the data that I'm storing there, or is there any other thing on the basis of which the calculations are done? So let me show you. If you are ever confused in any service that how much money I will have to pay if I use this much service for this much duration or with this much load, okay, then how much I'll be charged. Okay, so let me tell you in the beginning only that the pricing uh, pricing behavior or the way in which price is calculated for the usage of each service is very much different. Okay, I'm just going to take one example. Like we have suppose a storage account, I want to use a storage account. Okay, so I'm going to discuss about how the pricings are calculated in the storage account. Let me show you. Okay, So suppose you want to calculate the pricing of a storage account. So what you will do, you will come here and you will just search for this storage account. Okay. And once I click here on this storage account, here it will be added, and then I'll be clicking on this view option. Okay. And then here multiple things are given. Okay. Like what is the configuration of your storage account, you need to provide those details here. Like in which region your storage account is, like many regions are there, right? We can deploy our storage account in any of the region. I am taking the by default east US region. If you want, you can change it. Like if you can choose, you can change west US region as well. What is the type? Okay, is it blob storage or table storage, queue storage, data lake storage gen 2? Suppose I am choosing this data lake storage gen 2. Okay, what is the tier? There are two kinds of tiers, right? Premium tier and standard tier, and there is difference between them, and that is part of a storage account configuration. If you want to get details in detail that what is difference between these two, you can go into the documentation and you can start searching. Okay, then we have, I'm just going with the by default, that is a standard tier. Then we have a storage account type. So in this data lake storage gen 2, we have only general purpose v2. Now we have access tier, right? There are four access tier. I have already discussed around that: hot, cool, cold, archive. So which one you want to choose? Suppose I am going for access tier only. Then we have something called redundancy, right? I have also discussed around redundancy, that your data will be cloned in how many copies and in which regions, primary region, secondary region. All those things I have discussed in my previous videos. So I am keeping it by default as LRS. We can change it to GRS as well. If you are configuring your storage account in GRS, then you will have to choose GRS here. Then here we have something called flat namespace or hierarchical namespace. Let's choose this hierarchical namespace, that is folder structure. I have also discussed around this hierarchical namespace in my previous videos. Now what is the capacity of that storage account? Is it 1000 GB, or if you want, if I want, I can increase or decrease it as well. Okay, suppose I am keeping it as 990 GB. Okay, we can keep it as 1000 GB as well. I mean, whatever I want, I can keep it. And then we have something called, as you all know, that Azure services are on pay-as-you-go model, so it is by default clicked. Okay, now we have something called reserved instances. Okay, whether reserved instances. Okay, here you see, here there is something called saving option. Save up to 38% on pay as you go price with 1 year or 3 year Azure storage reserved capacity. What does this mean? So this simply means that if we can forecast our users, like if I'm able to forecast that in 1 year, okay, in 1 year I'll be consuming, I can consume 1000 GB of space. Okay, then in that case there will be up to 30% saving. Okay, like suppose if if I would not have, suppose if I could not forecast it in in 1 year, I'll be using 1000 GB space of a storage account. In that case I am getting charged for 1 lakh rupees. And let's suppose there is, let's take another scenario in which I am able to forecast that in 1 year I'll be consuming 1000 GB of space. So I'll be asking Azure to keep this 1000 GB of space aside at the beginning only. Okay, in that case the pricing will be up to 38% lower. Okay, that is I was if I compare with the pricing in the previous scenario and this scenario, then in this scenario, when I will book, or when I will, I mean, book that 1000 GB of space specifically for me from Azure, in that case, I'll be charged up to 38% less money. That is, if in the previous scenario I was getting charged 1 lakh rupees, then in this scenario, in the current scenario, in which I am able to forecast that I'll be using 1000 GB of space of a storage account, in that case, I'll be charged only 72%, 72,000, not not 1 lakh. Okay, which was being charged in the uh, not 72 lakhs, actually 62 lakhs. Sorry, 62,000. Yes, previously it was 1 lakhs, and When I'm subtracting 38% from that, then I'm getting 62,000. Okay, so I'll be charged only 62,000 if I reserved at 1000 GB in the beginning only. Okay, so that's what here it is showing reserved instances. You want to reserve that 1000 GB for 1 year or 3 year. Okay, so I can reserve my instances, then that's what here it is showing capacity, reserve capacity. Okay, reserve capacity here it is showing in 2 units, petabytes and terabytes. That's it, nothing more than that. And what do you want to choose? Let's suppose I'm reserving for 1 year only. Okay, and payment option, how do you want to make payment, monthly or upfront? Okay, monthly or upfront. Upfront means in the beginning only you are paying all the amount. Okay, and monthly means you are paying in monthly manner. So total I'll be charged this much. Okay, $41,000 average per month. Okay, if I have this configuration of my storage account. Apart from this, there is something called transactions. In transactions, we can see write operation, read operation. Okay, so the charges of a storage account are also based on how much write operation we are doing in the storage account and how much read operation we are doing from the storage account. How many files we are reading and how many files we are writing. Based on that also we are charged when we use a storage account, but that charge is actually very less. Okay, let me show you, like as you can see, it is 0.0057 per 1000 operation. It means if we do 10,000 read operation, then I will be charged this much amount. Okay, so based on that, this charge has been calculated. Similarly, for write operation, the same kind of, in the similar fashion, the calculation has been done. So for read and write both the operation, whatever amount, number of amount of read and write operation you will be performing, based on that you will be getting charged. Now let me go down and let me come here. Here there is something called support, and support is included developer standard, professional direct. So there are basically these four kinds of supports that are available. If you want to know the detail of each kind of support, then we have this I option. In this I option we can click, and as you can see, I mean this professional direct support is for critical use case. Okay, so if you're, I mean the uses, I mean these are the four support options. Okay, these are four support options. Okay, and in this professional direct, okay, this option is for mid-sized to large companies, okay, with sustainable business critical use of Azure. Okay, if anyone is using critical Azure for some critical operation and they want some speedy support, some I mean high priority support, in that case they should go for this professional direct. If you want to learn more about these kind of support system, that what all things are there in this support system, then we have something called, here we have learn more option. You will click here and you will start, you can know that what is included in this kind of support system. Okay, so these are the details actually, these are the details regarding this support system. You see here in this case initial response time is less than 1 hour. Okay, because this is very, this professional direct is for very business critical, is for someone who is using business, who is doing business critical operation over Azure. If I go and check for a standard, like if I check for a standard support system, then let's see like what is the, here also the initial response time is less than 1 hour. Okay, let's go here, let's click here. Here you see the initial response time is less than 8 hours because this is for non-critical operation. Again, if I go to this basic support, basic kind of support, then we have this, in this there is nothing written with support time. Okay, that's fine. So just I want to highlight that in this professional direct, the response time is less than 1 hour because it is handling a very critical, I mean, because the customer here in this case is using Azure for its critical operations. Okay, so this is the whole billing, and this is how like billing is calculated in Azure. And if you want, you can change the currency as well. Like right now, I am seeing the billing in US dollars. If I want to convert it into INR, I can convert it, and this much will be the amount. Okay, I will have to pay 34 lakh 48,398 rupees. So this much amount I will have to pay for the amount of storage account that I'll be using. Now, if I want, I can export this as well. If I want to share the costing, I mean costing calculation that to any upper management people, right? Your manager or your product manager, that if suppose he is asking you to share that if I need to Arun, suppose he asks Arun, I need to develop this application. So how much will be the cost of a storage account? So what you will do, you will just do calculation like this, just I explained based on your configuration, and after that you will be exporting these details. Okay, the whole detail will be exported in this Excel format very beautifully, and you can very share this whole Excel sheet. The calculations are done in a very beautiful manner in this Excel sheet. Let me show you. Okay, so this is the calculation. Okay, and you see this is the final pricing, that 34 lakh 48,498 rupees. Okay, and all the configurations has been given here, that what is the description. So I want data lake storage gen 2 standard GRS redundancy, hot access tier hierarchical namespace, whatever configuration I configured while setting up the while putting the values in the calculator, all those description has come up here actually. Okay, so this is the way in which you can calculate the pricing of any resource. Like suppose I also want to do, suppose I'm using a system in which I'm going to use a storage account as well as SQL database. So what I will do now, I will search here for SQL database. Okay, now I will search for Azure SQL database. I will just search it here, and you see now it has come here, Azure SQL database. So in the above we have this storage account. Now below below we have this below we have this storage account, sorry, SQL database here. Now I can do calculation of SQL database as well, like in which, just give me 1 minute, my charger charge is going to end. Let me just put my charger, just allow me 1 minute. So I have Acer laptop with me, Acer gaming laptop, Acer Predator. So it consumes actually battery at very fast rate. Okay, so now I have plugged in my charger. Now let's again start our discussion around this Azure SQL database. So again, in the similar fashion, we can fill up the configuration of this. We can fill up the configuration of this SQL database. Like what is the configuration of SQL database that I'll be using? What is the region? What is its type? What is its purchase model? What it is its service tier? Okay, it is single database or elastic pool. What is this actually? Oh, we will be filling up all the information. We will be filling all the information here, and again here we have save up to 73% on pay as you go prices with 1 or 3 year reserved option. If we reserve in the beginning only that we will be using this much of SQL resources for sure, in that case we'll be able to save up to 73% of pricing. Okay, so based on the default configuration that is by default coming up, the total pricing that is coming up here is 30,686 rupees average per month. Okay, It is the by default pricing that is coming up, not 30,000 actually. The overall pricing is, yes, 30, oh, the overall pricing is 31,000 85 rupees, and upfront cost is 0 rupees. It means in the beginning you will have to pay 0 rupees. Okay. And now we have something called estimated upfront cost, estimated monthly cost. These are the two things which is coming up. Estimated upfront cost means in the beginning you will have to pay 0 rupees, and estimated monthly cost means you will have to pay this much rupees, 34,79,483 rupees for both storage account, SQL database, and storage account. Okay, and storage account, you see here, and storage account. You see, for storage account, the total costing was, for storage account, the total costing was 34 lakh 48,398 rupees. And for SQL database, the total costing was 31,085 rupees. Hence, by adding both of them, the total costing became 34 lakh 79,483 rupees. Again, with the help of this export option, I can export this in the form of Excel sheet, and I can share it with the respective stakeholders, whoever wants to know that if I'll be using this service and this service, like a storage account and SQL database, then what will be the total costing? Now, so this this was the calculation which I did manually. There is a sample scenario, example scenario. If you can see here, example scenario. There is example scenario given by Azure itself. Let me take you there also, and uh, let me help you understand that what is given there, so that you can understand this pricing calculator in much better manner. Okay, this is a very important thing that we are discussing right now, because uh, it it will happen many times that in your organization your stakeholder will ask you that, hey, tell me what will be the cost of this resource if you will use this. Okay, so in this fashion you need to calculate actually. So it's really very important. You really need to pay attention here, and you really need to know how we can use this. Okay, so now, so this was, right now whatever I did was the manual. What I gave that I want to use storage account and SQL database, and based on that I provided the configurations, and based on that I calculated the total costing, that what will the total costing if I use these services with these configurations. Now this is example scenario. This is given by Microsoft only. Okay, there is a scenario given, and Microsoft has explained that if you will be using these services with these configurations, then how much total you will have to pay. Let me come here. Okay, so here many kind of scenarios has been given. Let's take with this scenario only, like advanced analytics on big data. So this is a architecture diagram, okay, which Microsoft has given. So some log files are coming, some data is coming from some custom application, and we are ingesting it with the help of Azure Synapse Analytics. Then we have Azure Data Lake Storage. Then we have here again Azure Synapse Analytics, and here we are preparing and training our model. And here also we have Synapse Analytics. Here we have Azure Synapse Analytics. Here we have Cosmos DB. Here we have web application. Here we have Power App. I'm not focusing on the flow of this architecture. I'm just focusing on the components, that what all components has been being used. So if we look at here, okay, there are majorly five components. The one is Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Analysis Service, Power BI Embedded, a storage account, and then we have something called Azure Cosmos DB and storage account. So these are the five services that are being used. So now this is the, suppose this is the overall architecture of your project, and now your stakeholder asked, suppose a stakeholder came and asked me, Arun, this is the architecture of my project. Now tell me how much cost will I have to pay for using these services. Okay, then I will have to calculate the costing. Like, now how will I be calculating those costing? So let me show you. Here a sample calculation has been done here. Okay, let me click here on add to estimate. uh, I clicked on this add to estimate, and let me show you that what is the estimate that it is showing. So as I told you that it is using five services. So For all those five services, Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Analysis Service, Power BI Embedded, Azure Storage Account, Azure Cosmos DB. For all these five services, calculation has been done. For Azure Synapse Analytics, I'll be charged $6,418. For Azure Analysis Service, I'll be charged $95. For Power BI Embedded, I'll be charged $1,445. For storage account, I'll be charged $15,818. And for Azure Cosmos DB, I'll be charged $273. But how it has been calculated? Okay, let's click on this Azure Synapse Analytics and let's expand this section. Okay, if you see here again, the configurations has been done in the same fashion like I was doing just few minutes back. Okay, what is the reason of Synapse Analytics? What is the performance tier? Like many kind of performance tiers are present. Okay, many kind of configurations are there, so all those configurations has been given, and based on that the total calculation has been done as 6418. Okay, let me minimize it. I just expanded it. Similar to the Synapse Analytics, for all the services, those calculations has been done. Okay. Similar to this Synapse Analytics, for all the services, calculation has been done, and so total by adding up all these costs, okay, the total costing that is coming is, you see here in estimated monthly cost, that is around $24,051. This is the total costing. If I add up all these cost, okay, it will it will it will be 24,051 dollars. Okay, this will be the estimated monthly cost. It means you will have to pay monthly this much amount if I'll be using these services for the configuration that has been mentioned in this calculation. I hope that this is making sense to you. So this was just one scenario that was given by Azure. You can take another scenarios as well. Like suppose I am taking real-time analytics. So this is the architecture of that, and these are services that are getting used in this for building this project. So now let me click on add to estimate. Now you will see, you see here I am seeing here real time analytics, and here I am seeing the overall calculation. Like these are the total services that are getting used, and these are the total costing that is happening for each services for 1 month, and the total estimated monthly cost that is coming up is $19,638. Okay, so I explained this pricing calculator, Azure pricing calculator, in pretty much detail to you guys. Okay, and for every service, the basis on which the pricing is cost is calculated is very much different. Okay, so I hope that this video will be very much helpful for you in real time, because it really happens many a times that your stakeholder comes and asks you that what I have to build this project, tell me how much cost it will incur on me. Okay, so I hope that you like this video. Do comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, do connect with me in my LinkedIn account, and also you can join our Telegram group mentioned in the description of this video. Thank you, everyone. Take care and have a nice day. Bye.